Welcome to KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio and the Southern California Business Report with Yvette Walker, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them.
Welcome and thank you for joining the Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV. I'm Yvette Walker, live blasting our signal from the center of Southern California, serving a population of over 25 million. Get us crystal clear and on demand by downloading the free KMET live streaming app on Google Play or the Apple App Store. A huge shout out to the team, Mitch, Bill, and Sean. As always, I love you. And to our special advisory committee, Bill Morris of UCI School of Business, Joseph and Camila Rubio, thank you so much. Don't forget to check out the Jay Kaplan Show, also on KMET on Fridays at 3. Today, it is my distinct honor and pleasure to be introducing Aaron Michael Sanchez, producer and host of The Morning Show, also on this station on KMET 1490 AM, as we discuss his new book, How to Start a Business in a Down Economy, and explore themes and business basics in relation to the broader business landscape. Aaron Michael Sanchez, who currently hosts The Morning Show weekdays 8 a.m., on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM and 98.1 FM. He has been described as a natural, multi-talented, playful, and personable host. His multiple years of hosting red carpet interviews and producing various projects with NBC News Radio, KCAA station in 2010 as an entertainment reporter led him to a shot at filling in as the co-host of their morning show. In 2013, that opportunity led to a weekly one-hour show that Sanchez executive produced and co-hosted live with Aaron and Kelly, an entertainment variety show visited by celebrity guests. In 2016, Sanchez was offered his own morning show on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. There, he began adopting the latest streaming technologies on Facebook Live and Periscope TV. He is also the executive producer of Hollywood Social Lounge and co-creator of the digital series Two Men in Your Business, an entrepreneurial show. As an early adopter of live stream platforms, Sanchez is among the earliest cross-platform broadcasting pioneers utilizing simultaneous streaming on television, radio, and online streaming networks. Thank you so much for being with us today, Aaron.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, it's so exciting to have a fellow programmer here on KMET. As we both know, we just love, the platform, super supportive, and it's great to have somebody that has a morning show every day at 8 a.m., just come and talk about hopefully the genesis of the morning show and get into your new book.
Yeah, well, thank you. I love your show, by the way. I think if anything, we need more business in the world. We've hit a situation with, unfortunately, just people kind of being like, okay, do I start a business? Do I not? Recently, some businesses kind of are claiming bankruptcy. We kind of talked about that at a different time about Revlon. And I'm like, it's all in my book and it's all there. And I say some very interesting things that I've been saying on the show for quite some time, but I say, no one listens to this show, but I hope they read the book. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I think we've met for a reason, right? The universe put us together. Your business book, my business program, let's get it out there and into the hands of as many entrepreneurs that we can, because basically if you can start a business in a down economy, you can start a business in any economy. And it's just a matter of, 101, right? The basics, the product, the process, and what are the margins, and being able to replicate and scale that time and again. But before we get into that, just let's talk a little bit about your morning program, what the format looks like, and what are some of the more recent guests that you've hosted?
Yeah, well, I think of anything. I think when you say guests, I automatically think of Shark Tank. We've had Shark Tank, somebody very popular. He's always the guy that kind of is nice. And then you don't see him come in, then he gives you a question. You're like, not ready for it. But we've had people, from the financial sector. We've had people that are entrepreneurs. We have people that have gone from rags to riches within a few years, just getting an opportunity. I had one guy on our show. I remember it was interesting. He was homeless and somebody kind of believed in him and they paid for his class in real estate. Now I think he's on the East Coast. He wrote a book as well about his life, and it's a real like, wow, what happens if son believes in you? He paid back the money of, it's like $300, $400 to kind of get, scheduled, and then you got to pay for the, stuff to kind of like study. He committed to it, but he went from homeless to investor eventually because he made sense of it all, and we've had people like that. We've had people that have started gyms, some locally and then some nationally. And I say, wow, you guys are doing it. What is the secret? So the morning show is kind of a thing that is meant to kind of get your day started, get you the news of the day, get you information, and then kind of like say, oh, by the way, there's certain things happening. Let's be alive. Let's stay alive. And while we do so, let's keep everybody alive financially. And sometimes we talk about things that work, things that don't work. And, in the process, I kind of have met some very, very important people, as I know you have on your show. And you kind of stay friends all the way through with some, not all. And then you kind of pick their brain, they pick your brain, and you learn from them, you learn from yourself, and you go, whoa, I didn't know I knew that much information. I have a good friend named Jesse Torres, which I've done a show with in the past. And that started as simple as us having like wine. And I think I had maybe, a beer. And it was it was after we did a show. It was on the radio at the time. And he said, hey, what do we do next? And I said, I don't know. And we were just talking, and he used to like write. He likes writing stuff down. Like he had a little notebook with him, right? Which I say to every business person or show person or anybody in entertainment, have your notes, right with you. And so he had this little, like, have you seen those? Like with the black and white, it looks like, like when you go to school, that little, like, what do they call it? Like ruled.
Okay,
paper?
like the spiral ruled notebooks type of a thing. Yeah. So the traditional way, I've very much started doing the notes on my phone. So I'll go and open a new note, and I'm like texting myself. Sometimes I'm having a conversation. I'm like, I'm not texting, I'm taking notes. So don't worry.
Yeah.
But
you get it.
yes,
Yeah. And then it's going back to that. So this one, he wrote something very quick down, and I thought, it's never going to happen. And it happened. We did it. And then Entrepreneur Magazine took our segments, which we did, which was a really quick, like, what do we call this? We said, well, let's call it 2 Men in Your Business. We always get kind of like people going, how come there's no women? I go, well, there is women. We just kind of were talking about it over wine and beer, and we didn't think that far. It was just he and I putting in the time and the investment of time to put some very quick segments together, anywhere from like 3 to 8 minutes. And we kind of went motivational. He is a very smart, let's put it this way. He's helped start so many businesses. I pick his brain. And then I've helped people with marketing. I've helped people with like other things behind the scenes. And then sometimes I encourage them. Some call me a motivational speaker, and others call me like, all kinds of different things I don't like to take credit for. But at the end of the day, we said a long time ago, we said, why don't we do a book? And then life kind of took us away from that. And recently I went through several things, personally. And, I'm like, okay, what do I do next? So I'm like, you know what? Let's re-enliven that. So I had dinner with him recently at, well, I'm not going to mention the place, but it was all buffalo wings. You can imagine. And, we broke bread, so to speak. And I said, hey, why don't we do this and get it all the way through? Because I already wrote another book, which is a butterfly story. It's kind of a rhyme story. I said, let's do it and let's get it done. I said, because I'm not going to wait anymore on things happening, because sometimes we wait for things to happen, but instead of, it's kind of like our economy. We're waiting it to kind of treat us in a way, but it's like, you got to take your own family and say, look, we're going to do this, that, and the other, and not wait for things to happen. Right. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the impetus of putting the book together. And Jesse Torres and I have done some very good conversations with smart leaders, people that owned Skype and then sold it to Microsoft. We've had like everything from Shark Tank winners to people that made money and then got money and then, turned like a weekend side job into, I think it's an $18 million business eventually, which actually used to work for a radio station, but she does events, and she made it go next level with like big events, So we've interviewed a lot of people and learned from them. And then we've also helped other people. We did like a little segment, which was we had people call in and we recorded it, but I didn't get it, all the way, which I told them we got to redo that, where we have people give us their problems and then we kind of get them to the next level of defining what the real solution is for them. We had one person, she had like 3 jobs. She was an attorney, she had her own business, she had something else. And it was like, instead of telling somebody, focus on one, you say, okay, how can you do all of them and make them work together? Because she says she had plenty of energy, I guarantee you should have enough energy. But people don't like to hear that. So you kind of
Right.
walk them through it and then hope that they get there and hope, okay, what's your goal at the end of the day? Make $1 million or make $8 million? Which is it? Or do you want to make $12 million? What is it?
Right.
And then you help them get there. So he's good at that. I'm good at kind of the gift of gab. And then we put it together and we see what kind of hits. But it really hits on this book.
I love it. It's so beautiful, especially the part that resonates most with me is that you have to take charge over your own economic endeavors, right? And not rely on others to kind of direct you or guide you or show up when you really need them to show up. And really, when you say that, I have to say that's the genesis of why this program was developed in the first place. Southern California Business Report was a response to 2020, right? When you hear of all the things that are not working, it's like, okay, this isn't working, that's not working, this is going down. And it's like, okay, we get it. We know everything that's not working. Now, when are we going to start to focus on the themes, on the ideas, on the organizations that are working and are going to move us forward? You know, pointing fingers, talking about what isn't working is not going to work, right? That's not going to move us forward. And so I'm so happy to have, you know, people like you and others that share their stories and talk about their own personal efforts to move forward and to really advance without, you know, relying on others to direct them, right? Because that's what it boils down to, our own individual grit, moving forward, propelling ideas, hopefully in a positive direction. And as this program is geared toward, we all know it's for solutions, opportunities, and success. So I love that you're going to be talking about your book that is focused on exactly that: solutions, opportunities, and success for those that are looking to start a business, hopefully not only in a down economy, but in a thriving economy once again.
Well, and we'll get there. I say that on the show. You know, you say stuff I've said since, honestly, I want to say 2020. I said, look, be prepared for this not to go away in 3 years. People looked at me and said, are you crazy? I said, look, you haven't done the math. There's a very good documentary on Netflix. It's called Pandemic. And it talks about how diseases get out of control and how they're supposed to be kind of taken care of. The World Health Organization, for example, is good at that. The CDC is good at that. But they need to get better, right? We need to be alive through it all. But I also always say this: within a certain amount of time, we will get good again. We just have to get through all the blah to get there, right? So my point in saying that is I hope that we focus on at least, again, what you said, solution. Now, I don't mind bringing up a problem, but in the very same vein, I go, now listen to the solution before you get caught up with the problem.
Right.
That's where businesses right now are caught up with the problem rather than say, okay, because you have to state the problem first. That way you can state the solution. Otherwise, it's like pie in the sky stuff. It's like, are we going to pay our bills? That's the first question. If you're going to pay your bills, how are you going to pay your bills? And if you're going to have a problem paying your bills, what are you going to do next? We talked about Revlon here on the show today in preparing for this, of course. And I said, look, when they claim bankruptcy, Chapter 11, that's called reorganization. How are they going to reorganize? I gave 3 quick tips that they could do that would get them out from under. And it's very simple and very fast. Will they listen? I don't know. Will it be in the book? Probably not. But it's about starting your business. That information will probably be in the 3rd book.
Right. So, you know, at the end of the day, when you are in a dilemma like that, it's about going back to basics, right? When you're restructuring, it's in what it is, right? Restructuring. And when you restructure, you know, you do have to go back to basics, reevaluate your processes, inventory, product lines, margins, distribution channels, you know, the whole 9 yards, and, you know, developing a new format that makes sense, right? In a new environment. And unfortunately or fortunately, you know, I talk about financial Darwinism for a reason, and especially during this time, people have been forced to be dynamic, nimble, creative, all at once, right? And agile, right? And so being able to do that in a business environment very much requires one to anticipate what's coming next. So we also have to be aware. We have to be in the know as to what the landscape looks like, not only in the business world, but now, you know, in the geopolitical system. You know, we have wars going on. We have, you know, various forms of currencies that are interconnected. So there's a lot of things at play that, you know, just means that we have to elevate our game and pay closer attention.
Yeah, and I like that because it adds to what I think is needed right now. And it's this: how are we going to pay the pump? You know, we all have to get to work, right? Some of us get virtual, thank God. Thank God we have services like, teleconferencing.
Right.
Thank God we have telehealth, right? Those are new, what I call evolutions to stuff known as healthcare, right?
Right.
It's called don't stay in the dark ages of you have to come in for your appointment. There are doctors now that make, honestly, more money than they ever
That's
did
right.
because they see you through a virtual means known as, whatever they use. I know my mom's had to use that. And I go, that's it. You didn't have to go. You didn't have to drive. You have to wait in person. You didn't have to do all that. That's called kind of like adopting the latest in technology and saying, okay, I may be uncomfortable with it, but, and then like 3 weeks later, you're like, why do I need to meet anybody in person? You know what I mean?
This
All of a
is so
sudden,
much
you're like,
easier.
why did I do this to begin with? I remember when people were fighting going on like Skype or going on Zoom or any type of teleconferencing. They're like, no. And I'm like, do you understand how much gas is? That's how much money you just saved. Thank you. And you're welcome.
Yes. And time, right? And headache, the burden of driving through traffic, the pain at the pump, the wear and tear on your vehicle, the convenience, the time savings, it's just the whole 9 yards. It's all good. So there's a lot of good that's going to be coming out of this. So let's talk about your book and kind of break it down in terms of the themes that you touch on and maybe which ones you want to focus on today.
Okay, it's very simple. I keep it simple because starting a business, if you complicate it, the majority of times people are going to say that's too much, right? So I start with a very simple idea. Get your idea done and focus on getting it done within 3 months. If you could get it done within 3 months, make sure you get profit mode in 3 months. That way you're not in debt long term. You got to think of debt as like, okay, I'll give you an example. So many people want to start an idea, right? It's either a specialty, a product, or a service, right? But let's say you pick one.
Let's do a service.
Okay,
those are tougher, right? Because they're the intangible things. But if you can sell a service, you can sell anything, especially in a down economy.
Yes, very good. Depends what service it is, right? But let's say you want to take something that's already existing and make it better, right? That's complicated. I would go with something that is existing and just do it and brand it different, right? I'll give you an example. A service could be fixing, I don't know, pick a product.
Say fixing roofs, right? We all need a roof over our head.
That is a business, right? Now that requires licensing, that requires a business name, that requires hopefully an LLC minimum, right? Some would say, no, do corporation. I say, start with something. That way you can pay yourself first. If you do that, some people don't do that. They just start doing the roofing, you know what I mean? And they work for somebody else. But if you say, hey, I want to do it professionally, long-term, I'm going to offer a service. I'm going to do maybe not just roofing, but I'm going to do roof repair, right? What am I going to charge? How much am I going to charge eventually? How am I going to get my people to know that I'm there? Well, that's simple. You just have to start with a name and then get your whatever you need to do it, right? That's called product. And then make sure that you have at least good customer service along with it, right? That's simple. But I would like to kind of challenge that and say this. Why don't you think now outside the box and say, okay, let's turn that service into something, again, you picked roofs, but you could really pick anything,
right?
And say, okay, what is it that you could do very quick, very fast and have a profit within 3 months? And because most people don't know roofing, do you know roofing?
No. Okay. And I personally can't stand to watch those people up on the roof. I have to cover my eyes because it looks so
you don't like heights.
Very bad. No, I feel like I don't want to watch anybody fall off a roof. That's all.
Okay, so if you look at like a total of 10 roofs, right? What will you see? You're going to see sometimes damage, sometimes like problems, and then you see solar panels.
Right.
But nobody's talking about maintenance of solar panels. What if you offer a service of saying, look, I'm going to wash off your solar panels once a month. That way you get the most from your solar panel, the energy, because the dirtier they get, the less they produce, right? So that is easy. You go to every single house that has a solar panel. You say, hey, by the way, and this could be a kid that starts this business. You know what I mean? This book is for everyone, okay? If you have a kid, you're going to want to buy the book, okay? If you're an adult, you're going to want to read it to your kid, okay? Because you're going to want to make money all the way through with all the family members, right? But it's simple as that. You say, okay, we need a business day. What are we going to do? And if you do it as a family, that's smart But I say, if you're a kid and you're like 13, 14, or 15, make sure to ask a parent first, and then get something that will reach the roof and rinse them off, like a sprayer, right? Now you got to figure out the cost of that. But at the end of the day, now you got to think about water, right? And you use their water to do that. So that's no out of pocket for you. You just got to make sure to know the guidelines of drought season. But if you're in another state where you don't have to deal with that, guess what? Easy breezy. That's a service that people aren't even focusing on, but is needed. And the only reason I know that is because I used to sell solar. So I know that they need to be cleaned at least once every year, all the way through. But nobody thinks of that. It's like your lawn, right? How many people out there have a service known as somebody that comes and takes care of your yard, right? How many want to take care of the yard? I don't. Do you?
If I have enough time, I actually love getting my hands in the dirt. So, but
every week,
every week, yes, I know.
Okay, well,
It's crazy.
You're unlike me. You should offer that as a service. No, but people are making money
Yes.
anywhere from like whatever they charge, right? And if you have somebody to do that, or the pool, that's a service. Somebody said, "Hey, I will service your pool and take care of it for you because you probably don't have the time," right?
Right.
Now, some have the time, but you offer that as a business.
Right.
And a lot of people go, "Wait a minute, it's that simple." I go, "Yeah, it's that simple. You just have to say, what am I willing to put time in, and do I want to do that all the time?" I say this: get a service ready to go, or a company with a service, and then be prepared to get an employee, 1, 2, or 3. That way, now you become the CEO of your company. Now, when you're the CEO of your company, you're going to pay them out of what you make, but you're going to need to keep a certain amount of money, obviously. But you need to know what other people are doing. So back to roofing. You can offer other things, like if, let's say, they have damage on the roof, right? And maybe you don't want to do roofing because it's a lot of money, right? To invest, to start a roofing business. But you team up with 3 major ones in the area, you get a referral service ready to go, and you say, look, I'm going to get accounts from all these people to do their solar, but if I have somebody that needs a roof, I'm going to throw it to you, but I need a little bit of money back for it. Now, the great thing about roofs is it's usually paid out of the equity or the money that the person has for the house anyway. And if there's damage, or like, let's say there's water damage, a roof is going to be needed, right? But there's a lot of money in roofs. But it's called, now you need to network with other people that you offer a service to, but you don't have to be out of pocket with that. So I say, start your business quick and fast. Don't invest all the money to have a roofing company. Work at it slow. Maybe you might not even like roofing. You might want solar. You might want to use that as a service, and then you'll see other ones. You go, wait, they need better solar. What's the next one around the corner that they could do? So that's what I say. Throw a product or a service or speciality at me, and we'll make it make sense. But the question is, will you do it? That's the next chapter. The next chapter is the things and the hurdles that you're going to have to overcome, but it's okay because people have done it before you. What you need to know is learn from their failures. Don't replicate the failures, right?
That's right. That's right. And that's what, the whole gist of business is, right? It's ideally not having to reinvent the wheel, because if you are, more power to you. But if you don't have to, and you're doing just what you said, which is learning from other people's mistakes, then you're, head and shoulders above everyone else. You are doing you're doing your research. You're going in clear-eyed and prepared to move forward with a plan that's going to make sense for today's market.
There you go. You got it. And I like even you won't want to reinvent the wheel, but you will want to design it differently. And think about people like die casters and ones that have different rims. So you can add on to what already is there, like the roof. There are things and technologies out there that can actually make a roof better. There is like a treatment for roofs, right? So that it is no longer a fire hazard. There are certain things that you could spray on a roof so that if there is a fire, guess what? If you're in fire country, you're going to need this service, right? It's called a spray down for your roof. Now, the question is, will the person have the money? So you want to be affordable. That's the next chapter. Price it at a point that makes sense. Don't price it too high. Otherwise, you'll get a little of the money, but not a lot of the money, right? And people are doing that right now. They're pricing way high. So you're like, shoot, forget that. I'm going to go to Target, right? Instead of like specialty store, right? Do you need a business storefront? For a service, actually, you don't. For a product, you do sometimes. It depends on the service. Let's say you're a hairdresser. Well, it's better if you have a place of business, right? Now, do you rent, or do you buy, or do you own? Do you lease? What do you do? That depends on the state. It's different for every state. I've gone to the East Coast and been in Jersey, and it's illegal to rent a state now. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Most people don't. I saw it and I
Wow.
was like, huh? I was like, okay, so you got to know what's available in your area,
Right.
get kind of the information there, and then you'll understand. And if you understand that, then you'll be ahead of it. But back to like counting the cost, you got to count the cost. But I try to make it as fun as possible because it gets a little dreary when you talk about licensing and this and that and the other. And there's people that can do that for you, but get your idea done within the first 3 months. That's the whole impetus. You got to get it done in your mind first, then on paper, and then execute.
There you go. All right, everyone. For those listening, I'm Yvette Walker on Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV, talking to Aaron Michael Sanchez, producer and host of the morning show, also on KMET 1490 AM, as we discuss his new book, How to Start a Business in a Down Economy, and explore themes of business basics in relation to the broader business landscape when we return.
Cal State San Bernardino is home to the only school of entrepreneurship in California. With globally ranked degree programs, you can start your journey today to become a successful entrepreneur. Learn more and connect at entre.csusb.edu.
City of Hope is driven to making a difference in the lives of people with cancer and diabetes. We accomplish this by conducting innovative research and providing outstanding care. If you or a loved one has received a cancer diagnosis, go to cityofhope.org to learn more about how our innovative approach could change your outcome.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs a blood transfusion. Be on the giving side. Livestream Blood Bank supports patients in 80 Southern California hospitals. Call 1-800-TRY-GIVING for more information and to set an appointment.
Ontario International Airport is onto a better way to fly with over 65 daily nonstop flights to more than 20 major destinations and the easiest airport experience in Southern California. Visit flyonto.com/Ontario to learn more about Ontario International Airport today.
Hi, I'm San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes. If you're looking to start an exciting career in law enforcement and make a difference in your community, we are hiring dispatchers, nurses, deputies, laterals, and many more. For a complete list of our jobs and more information, visit sheriffsjobs.com.
The University of La Verne is rated first in California for alumni satisfaction. Learn more about accelerated programs offered online and on campus in La Verne, Irvine, Ontario, Burbank, or College of the Canyons. Visit go.laverne.edu. The University of La Verne. go.laverne.edu.
Welcome back. For those listening, I'm Yvette Walker on Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV, talking to Aaron Michael Sanchez, producer and host of the morning show, also on KMET 1490 AM, as we discuss his new book, How to Start a Business in a Down Economy, and explore themes of business basics in relation to the broader business landscape. Thank you again for being with us today, Aaron.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. So before the break, we were kind of getting into the business basics, not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but improving it and finding new opportunities to offer, unique parts of a service that is already existing. In this case, we were talking about roofing. And so you segued into solar and, the benefit of possibly offering a service in conjunction with roofing that, clean solar panels to up the efficiency rate of those solar panels. So let's go back into it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I in my book, I'd start off with, honestly, this is giving a lot of information. You're probably going to be like, all right, I don't need to buy this book anymore. But it's saying this. Look, if you have a father or a mother that makes the best food ever, put that into the restaurants of people, right? Called stores, right? Because nobody wants to cook anymore, right? So there's a way to do that. Some people think that's difficult, but if you start very basic, it's called, what is your favorite food that your mom or pa makes? And then what did they do to make it good for you and your family members, right? Mm-hmm. When everybody needs like some good feelings in their belly, they all turn to something. We all eat, right? That's why there's so many restaurants. But I get it very simple because we can all kind of relate to that. Now, a lot of people don't want to start a restaurant, but if you do, this book is for you. But I kind of equate it to a business. It starts with a very simple idea called I love my mother's whatever that came to you, whatever that words are that are coming to you, it's that. If it was macaroni and cheese, if it was like carne asada, if it was special tacos, if it was menudo, and they make it very different and very like specific. Well, how many of those products have gotten into like big name stores, right? Like the big ones, right? It comes from a special recipe. So, if you have a father or a mother or a grandpa or a grandma, say, Grandma, Grandpa, can I make you some money? And then, you know what I mean? And then they say, yeah, sure. And then you say, okay, I'm going to learn with you what you do. And then you let them know you're going to use their name on the box of the service of the food that you're going to offer eventually. If you start off very simple like that, it could be as simple as a burrito. That's kind of what I say in my book. And I say, if you start with that, you need 3 things: cheese, beans, and tortillas. But you need to get those from somewhere, and then you got to sell them for something, and then you got to get something out of it, right? Now, can you do that in a down economy? Yes, because everybody needs food, right? So what they don't need, honestly, is, well, that depends on people's money. If they have a lot of money, then they're going to buy anything they want. But sometimes the product or the whatever it has that you have in your head, you go, is it going to stick? Is it going to be something that people are going to want eventually, especially if it's a new product? People invent things all the time. I mentioned a movie which I highly recommend people see, with or without the book. It's called Joy, and I cannot remember her name, but she is she was in Hunger Games. I can never remember her name.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Thank you,
right?
Jennifer
There
Lawrence. She plays this honestly young lady who gets everything thrown at her. She's balancing everybody's lives. And then finally she has an idea. She doesn't know why she can't get rid of it, but she invents the next mop. And it is a mop that it seems good because we use it actually. Other companies have branded it, but she was the first to come out with the product and make sure it was hers. But the process of getting it from idea to execution, to investment, to all the way through, it wasn't easy. It looks easy in the end, but she had people kind of like, take her idea, make it their own, and talk about like people that, do special products, and they kind of get, what's that called when they, oh God, you know it.
Like
when
patent infringement?
They infringed upon her 100%.
Okay.
But if you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend that you do so, because it gets your mind into that space of what could go wrong, what can I do ahead of it, and do I trust everyone, right? So I say, look, even if you're a teen or if you're like a young person, think about this. Sometimes the people that turn on you are the people that are close to you, right? And that's a situation that's kind of in the movie based on a true story. She's still alive, and she's kind of the queen of cleaning when it comes to like QVC or Home Shopping Network. Again, worth a lot of money, and she's helped other people put their product into play. But the movie was made with Jennifer Lawrence, great actress, even though I can never remember her name when I need it, and it's called Joy. But there's nothing joy about it until the end, because she has to get through it all. So sometimes that comes when you don't expect it, because she's basically fixing her mother's life, she's fixing her father's life, she's holding down the fort at home. Plus, she has a kid. And she has a guy that kind of like, does he not want her, whatever, but she does it all on her own. And then people come around, but then they can like put problems in front of her. She has a sister that you think wants to help her, but doesn't want to help her in the end, because she wants her ideas made, because she wants the money for herself. And it's like, oh my God, people, can you be supportive? And that's unfortunately where we are in the world, right? We have people tearing down ideas and honestly, like, I don't know about you. You probably have had an idea once a day, but the question you always have, is it going to stick in the end? So I say this, put it into play, make sure you save a certain amount of money, work for it, right? Try to keep it under 3,000. Now there's ways nowadays, and that's in the later part of the book, talk about crowdfunding, talk about equity, which is a really neat thing that's actually provided by the government, where you can raise money for an idea, but you offer certain shares so that you get the money ahead of time, but you could put it into play. You just have to do kind of your homework first. But money now is easier to get than it ever used to be. The SEC used to be like all on it. Like there was no way you could ever post on social media, oh, I need money for this, that, or that, another idea. but government has made certain things available, which is why we have Kickstarter, why we have Indiegogo, why we have other sites that you may never heard of. Big shout out to Dream Funded and Manny Lopez, which I've worked with him in the past together, and he's mentioned in the book, by the way. But there's other sites that do that, and they help organize your idea. You could raise like $1 million for a product. A lot of people go, I have a great idea for a product. I say, great, get it done. There's so many now printers that can print out your idea that you can get it made and done. That's called prototype, right? But you don't have to pay, as Jennifer Lawrence does in Joy, somebody to make it. And, they're going to charge like $100,000 minimum. Now there's ones where you can actually make the prototype, make sure it works. You're going to go through some bugs, obviously. That's always a thing. But you can get the money ahead of time before you ever put it into production. That's called crowdfunding via Kickstarter. Now you get all the people ahead of time. I'll give you an example, and it's been getting a lot of buzz. Tag, right? That's about Apple's situation with Tag.
No, please tell me what. Okay. Oh, the Tag device. Yes.
You're able to find anything with Tag, right?
Yes.
But they got that from another company called Tile. I got a chance to meet. I've gone to this consumer electronics show called CES, right? And I met some of the people there, and they honestly got with other smart people, and they put their minds together, and they created Tile. Basically, Apple took that idea and ran with it, right? Because they could. But they're the ones that came up with it first, but they crowdfunded it. They got the idea. They got it so that it works for your phone, and then you could find your wallet, wherever you put the Tile at, right? Well, they did a crowdfunding thing. So they said, okay, is this good for people? And sometimes you'll see some really cool products that go crowdfunded on Kickstarter. Some don't even say it, but that's how they start. Now, you can find Tile at your local Walmart, your local Target, because now they're out of that like incubator system, right? Where they kind of go, okay, we're going to give you a certain amount of funds known as angel investing, known as tech stocks, known as, stuff that you want to get money from. But you have proof of concept. Once you have proof of concept and people say, yeah, I get it, I want that, and you make it affordable, they raise the money ahead of time before they put it in production. That's why they say, okay, if we can meet our goal of 100,000, which I think they made well over that once the word got out, once they got featured in media, once they got something like on your show, right? And we've featured people like that, right? To get them all the way through to get crowdfunded, because it's all or nothing, right? And that's kind of like the zing and the zazz and the wow, you could get your money ahead of time and get it into production. Whereas before, back in the 80s or the 90s, you had to have a minimum of like money to put it into production, kind of like in the movie Joy. She had to have a minimum investment. So she asked a family member of her dad, basically his new lady, right? And she's like, I'm only going to give you the money because it's my husband's money, God rest his soul. But if you mess up, I'm going to come after you. Like, she doesn't say that, but basically that's her. And you kind of have to be that way with your money, but you don't need to actually, if you have a product, go long way. You could go short way. Say, I just need one that works. Test it. Have somebody buy it, 1, 2, or 3. You say, okay, it works. Make sure it doesn't break down very quick. You go, okay, good. And then crowdfund it. And then you make sense of that with a video campaign. You say it works for this and that. People did it for bikes, that you could track your bike because people were stealing bikes, right? And it works very good. But now Apple took it and they went next level with it, back to the ability to brand. Right. If you brand your idea first and you do it good, be prepared to sell it because somebody's going to steal it one way or the other. It's called competition.
That's right.
So be ahead of your competition if you come out with the product, but get on it. Because sometimes we all, you said universe, but sometimes I say we're all on the same wavelength, right? You have an idea, I have an idea. We go, how are we thinking about that at the same time, right?
Our wavelengths are connecting. That's why.
but some people sit on it and they go, oh, that would work with that. That would work with that, but they never get it on paper.
Yes.
And then they see it 3 years later and they go, I thought of that, right? I guarantee somebody listening right now is saying, I've had that happen at least once, right? And so don't let people either A, steal your idea, or B, don't let people be on the same wavelength, be their competition, be their competitor. You both make money, right? And then we're all like, ooh, look at new technology. Awesome, right?
Absolutely. And so you talk about the prototype part, and that is the key element when you're talking about new products. Before, you would have to go to like a mold maker to come and cast a mold for you so that you can go and, create this prototype. And, it was just a super expensive time, intense process. And now you can go to places like U Makers, where my friend Rob Puramus has one. He has one in Claremont where they have the CAD designers, the 3D printers, the whole 9 yards, where you can go and keep your idea private on top of that, right? Because like you said, when you're talking about intellectual property and trademarking and making sure that intellectual property is protected during the process of development, that is critical in addition to that. And I know that there are U-Maker spaces that are provided by the county as well. In the county of San Bernardino, they have a U-Maker space. In the city of Fontana, I know they were opening a new like a maker space that has all of this technology available as well, where they have 3D printers, CAD designers, things like that. So there are very many opportunities that are developed to create an environment for entrepreneurs to really have the confidence and have the control to develop something that is unique, that is going to benefit, everyone, and that has the very unique protections that were not offered, decades ago. Before, it was a very, very tedious, expensive, a trepidatious process, right? Because there's all these elements, you're talking about joy and all of these different challenges that she faced, even within her own family dynamic that's trying to press their own, ideas or thoughts or, kind of move her in directions that maybe she didn't want to go into. Yeah. But now there are so many tools, opportunities, resources, and platforms that allow entrepreneurs to really take hold of their idea and run with it. And so with that said, what would you say are the first things entrepreneurs or anybody wanting to go into business need to know before they sell their first product?
Have it make sense. Sometimes I hear people all the time have a really good idea. They have a really good product. They have a really good, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, right? And it makes sense to them. But when you say, okay, pitch me the idea, right? It gets a little complicated because then you have a good idea, but it's hard to get into words, right? Sometimes you need somebody to help you with the idea, get into words, right? So I would say think it through and then find 3 people that are not family and anybody that you know. And I'll give you an example. Sometimes I go to Barnes & Noble, right? Also, where you can buy my book or get it on bookstores everywhere, right? And coming to Amazon soon. But my point is this. I sometimes go and I just strike up a conversation with somebody, right? Like there's an area in Barnes & Noble, it's called Starbucks, right? And some people are reading there and some people are just like doing their homework and some people are just kind of like thinking. And I say, hey, by the way, quick question. And they go, huh? Yeah. And I say, well, what would you do if, and then they give me their unbiased opinion, right? They don't know who I am. They don't know what I'm about. And they don't know what I do, right? So if you have a product or service, ask 3 people all of a sudden. You could be at McDonald's, you could be at Chick-fil-A, you could be out and about at the park, and you go, that person looks kind of nice. That looks, kind of cool. All right, so I'm going to go ask them a quick question, and then you find out what people really want. I've asked waiters and waitresses. I've had like business people across from me. I go, oh, quick question, hold up. And I say, okay, so what do you think about this, this, and that? And they get embarrassed all the time. But at the end of it, they learn something because you get somebody that doesn't know you and they have their own opinion. So sometimes we have a good idea, but others go, well, that's the people that know us. Right. Those are the people that squash dreams and squander ideas. Don't listen.
Or they're a little too nice and are going to be overly supportive when really, the idea needs modifications or refinement, right? So you need
they're not supportive in the end. They're supportive on the front, but then they backstab you in the end. They want your idea, right? Goodness, so I say be careful of the people that you trust, right? Now, your mom and pop will always support you. Okay, those are the best people since sliced bread. But sometimes other people say they support, but they squash by going, it's already been done. You go, do you buy clothes? They go, yeah. Do you buy clothes at only one place? Yeah. Which place do you go to? And they say, well, Mervyn's. You go, all right. What about Target? Well, I don't buy clothes for Target. How many stores sell clothes? All right. So you don't have to. You get what I'm saying? There's so much ingenuity on this earth in kids, in teens, and even the elderly, right? 80, 90, right? 100 years old. They have ideas they've been sitting on. So I say, if you're their son or daughter, don't let them rest in the rest, and pick their brain, right? I've gotten so many products from my mom recently. When I have conversations with her, she goes, what about this? What about that? What about this? And I go, you know what? Let's write that down. So I text her, she texts me, and I say, okay, we're going to work on that when the time arrives, right? We've already got like 3 products we're working on together. I can't wait to put those into play. But my point is this, back to something that you said earlier. Who knew in San Bernardino, in our own backyard, that there are places where you could get a prototype for less than what you could in the 80s,
That's
right?
right.
And they're looking to help you out, right?
That's right. Well, they're creating a bursting economic environment because they know when you're selling these items, it all lifts, rising tides lift all ships. And it all comes down to sustainability. It all comes down to, building that revenue, because at the end of the day, these regions, our state, our cities, our counties benefit from the revenue of generating taxes, right? So if we have people that are willing to run with ideas that are new, unique, that are, going to bring them to market and generate that tax revenue, it benefits everybody because we see it in the form of services, police, fire, infrastructure, the whole 9 yards. And that's where, the counties and the cities and sometimes in the states have become smart to that fact. And rather than, create a bureaucracy that hopefully is, pushing back, is going to create a platform that encourages it and that facilitates it and that makes it so that more people can engage and express and bring to market items that are going to make everyone's quality of life better at the end of the day.
Well, and that's why I say we will be out of this eventually, but we need to band together, we need to work together, and we need to make things affordable, all right? You can only, let's put it this way, and people hate it when I say it, so I'm going to say it as nice as possible, okay? If you make a certain amount of money, let's say you make a lot of money. A lot of people don't here in the States. Let's say you make $100,000. That's a goal of everyone, I think, right? Minimum, right? Let's say you make $100,000, okay? You have your certain set of stuff that you buy, but now all of a sudden everything is double the price, all right? Now, do you put all the $100,000 away? Usually that depends. You got to pay taxes on that, so that's about 30% on average, which now you're down to $70,000, right? What do you do with the rest? Okay, you might invest in real estate, right? For you or your loved one. And so now you put a certain amount of that. That's called rent, but you pay yourself, right? That's where smart money goes, right? But maybe that's like, I don't know, low end, 15, high end. I've seen some like $5,000, $6,000 a month times 10. That's already all that money. You get it? So my point is this: when prices go up, and that's what's been happening in the last few years, the question is, how high does it have to go up before you need more money? So I say start a business now. If you have a product, a service, or a specialty, get it started in and down. And as you already said very, very eloquently, is if you can start it now, you can start it when it is booming. Now, I say this. Sometimes people say to me, and I know they've said this to you, I don't want to market right now because I barely can pay the bills.
Right.
I say, this is the best time to market when people are looking for something inexpensive. So you got to do it in a way that you might be kind of crunching the numbers now, but within 3 to 4 years, you'll be sitting pretty because you'll have at least loyalty. You need people to buy your product, service, or specialty, and they need to start buying now. Because in 3 to 4 years, everybody's going to be back, the way it was before 2018 is what I say. We entered the slump, I say, from 2018 to 2020, and then 2020 crashed everything because of the pandemic. But now we're here in 2022, ready to go to 2023, 2024, and 2025. I feel we will rebound if we do some of the things that I put in the book in the first 3 chapters. If everybody applies that is of a business mindset. Not everybody is. Some people like working for somebody else and getting, healthcare, like things, like money as it is, because a business doesn't turn profit for usually anywhere from 3 to 5 years, right? So I say franchise your idea, right? That goes into the second book, but I touch on it in the first book. Franchise what it is that you have. Think in that way. Of course, you have to have your thing ready to go. But if you think, okay, how can I have this person, that person do the same thing? Let's say you have that roofing company we talked about, right? Or service. Well, you say to person A, B, and C that also wants some money, you say, look, I've already branded this. I've already done the legal part. I've already taken care of this. All you need to do is, follow certain guidelines. But if you want to have your truck say the same thing, we can help you. Now you make an override of that company because you help them get where they got to go. They make money for themselves. You make an override of those 3 people. Now you're long-term. But if you do it only for yourself, you're only going to kind of get like, okay, now you got to fix the equipment. You got to like invest in new stuff, so then you got to save the money. So the question is, how far do you get before you start at least 3 more companies? In the book, I say make sure to have 3 businesses ready to go. A lot of people have anywhere from 8 to 12 of them if you really ask them and you really prime them. But I say focus on the first one that makes you money quick and fast within 3 months. That's the first one. The second one is one that's a spin-off, right? But you could do both at the same time. Now, you start a third one when the first 2 are, and that's the problem. People start way too many businesses before the first 2 are good to go. I'll give you an example. Facebook, okay? Everybody knows Facebook and they know the metaverse, right? Why is Facebook suffering when metaverse is all of a sudden a thing? When in reality, a lot of people don't even know what metaverse is.
That's true. That is
so
true.
I say this, go back to basics. So Zuckerberg, if you're listening, go back to basics, make sure Facebook works because that's your bread and butter. That you're going to make money on no matter what. But if it starts, and it has bugs. I've looked at it a few times. I'm like, how come it's not promoting this or that? Right? And that's called marketing, right? We depend on Facebook now for marketing. We never did before. But they kind of cornered that by knowing any and everybody around the world that subscribes to Facebook, right? So that's called get in front of the masses, right? And then when you're in front of the masses, you know what to do next. But the metaverse is virtual, but they're not there yet. So I say go back to your first company. Then when you're ready for the second company, make sure your employees make sense. Make sure the data makes sense, and then you have your third company ready to go. But, nobody's Zuckerberg. So
beautiful. So you heard it from Aaron Michael Sanchez and his new book, How to Start a Business in a Down Economy. Everybody look it up, find it at Barnes & Noble, and buy it because we're all going to be needing it. All right. For everyone listening, look for us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Check us out on scbrtalk.com. And don't forget to download the free live streaming app on Google Play or the Apple App Store. Don't miss my interview with Ben Dake, a technology consultant in the Southern California area with 28 years of experience consulting on matters ranging from acquisitions of companies and large upgrades to the day-to-day management of both small and medium-sized businesses. Ben started to dabble in crypto back in 2013 with the now popular Dogecoin, but got more heavily involved in 2018. Ben created a proprietary trading algorithm and automated it for the use in the crypto space with different exchanges and uses that manage funds for the family office he is a part of. Next week, we will have Dr. Ed Eng. He is the mayor of my hometown, La Mirada, California, is a business professor and founder of Kairos Consulting Laboratory, a startup created to develop alternative business programs to assist universities and corporations in meeting 21st century needs. He is a seasoned executive with 25 plus years of diverse industry experience in government, media, consulting, and engineering. Previously, Dr. Eng was the regional president of Los Angeles Times, responsible for business development and mergers and acquisitions. During this time, he received the Innovator of the Year award for his ethnic partnership strategy that catapulted the Times to become the largest metropolitan daily newspaper in the country. Dr. Eng holds a doctorate in organizational leadership, an MBA and an MS, and a BS in engineering. He is dedicated practitioner of mixed martial arts, and his first book, The Accidental Mayor, From the Side Streets of Chinatown to the Main Street of City Hall, will be published later this year. Don't miss it. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you so much for being with us today, Aaron.
Thank you for having me, and I love your show.
Thank you. We'll see you soon, everyone. Take care.